Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be taking you through how to set up an incremental refresh in Power BI Desktop. Now there's a few main benefits to actually using the incremental refresh. It can run quite a bit faster. So say for example, you've got a million rows of data and you only want to refresh the most recent, 10 days or something like that. Say that's only 10,000 rows of data. Now refreshing those 10,000 rows instead of the million rows of data is going to be much quicker. It's also going to use a lot less resources to actually do the refresh. Lastly, let's say, for example, you're connected to a VPN to actually complete this refresh. It's going to require a lot less time to actually be connected to the VPN. So it's going to be much less volatile, and your refresh will be much more confidently completed. So let's get in, and I'll show you how to actually set this up. So here we are, Power BI Desktop, and we're looking at the AdventureWorks dataset. Let's go ahead and go to Power Query. So hit Transform Data. And the first thing we need to do is set up a couple of parameters. So on the top here, it says Manage Parameters. Go ahead and manage parameters. We need two different parameters. And the parameters are basically your start and your end date that you're basically your range that you're looking at. So the first one we'll call is range start. And this needs to be date time type. And we'll give it a value of, say, December 1st, 2012. Okay. And to set up something very similar for range end date time. We'll say a couple years in the future for this one. Okay, so now those are set up. You can see those two parameters right here. Next, we're going to go into our fact table, and we need to select a column to filter by. So for this example, we use order date. So we're going to go ahead and click on the drop-down for order date, and go to date time filters, custom filter. And we need this to be after or equal to the range start and for the range end. And hit OK. Okay, now we're ready to close and apply. Actually apply our changes. Give this just a second to run. Okay, perfect. So now you can see our data is actually filtered for that day range. So the last thing we'll need to do is right click on the fact table that we just filtered on the right hand side, which is fact internet sales. So right click, go down to this incremental refresh right here. So now this pop-up appears and it's going to ask you for your table. So our table is fact internet sales, and we're going to turn on the incremental refresh. So the first time it does the refresh, it needs to refresh the entire data set, but after that, it's going to ask you, how many rows you actually want to keep. So in this example, we'll store rows where the order date is in the last, let's say, 10 years. And we want to refresh rows, let's say, in the last 1 year. So that's going to go quite a bit quicker. There's two additional toggle boxes here, so we can detect data changes. If we look for just a specific date range, we can basically detect any kind of changes that are done with our data. And then the other toggle box is basically just checking for a complete year. So say, for example, your refresh is at 4 a.m. on January 1st, and you don't want to look at those previous 4 hours because it's not part of the previous complete year. You could check mark this box. And then we'll hit apply all. And that is it. That's our incremental refresh. So now when we set this up in Power BI Service, this will incrementally refresh. So thank you very much for listening.